Thank you, donors.
From the bottom of our hearts, we're just so grateful.
My name is David Woodrow. I'm from a small town in Bucktouche, New Brunswick, Canada. And I receive a bone marrow from a donor.
And my name is Cory Sandstra. I am from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. And I am an extremely proud stem cell donor. I was very fortunate to be selected and to be able to help someone else that needed a stem cell transplant.
Could you maybe describe, what did it feel like to have a match, after you've been diagnosed?
I was diagnosed in 2010 in non-Hodgkin lymphoma. I only had one brother when they tested to see if there was a match. And I knew my odds were only 1 out of 4, 25% of match. And I wasn't a match. So they decided to go to the registry. It was kind of nerve-wracking. It took so long, a month and a half before they found a match, because when you're sick like that, you need something looking forward. And then when they called me just before Christmas saying, we found a match. And, I was so happy. I was, it's like a second life. And to me, it was the biggest present I ever had before a Christmas. So.
Yeah, for sure. My next question will be for Cory. How did you feel when you found out you matched to someone?
I was on the registry since high school and actually had been a match in the past, not the closest match, for someone else who was waiting on a stem cell transplant or a bone marrow transplant. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to donate at that time. I wasn't the closest match. They chose another person to go forward with the donation. So when I got this call that I was potentially a match again, I was super excited. I really had felt that I had missed an opportunity before, not being able to help somebody. So when I got the call that I was a match again, I had my fingers crossed I'd be the top match, because I really wanted to go through with the process. And yeah.
Awesome. So to both of you, what were your thoughts when you first met each other? I know you haven't met each other in person, but I know you met each other virtually. What was, that first time like for both of you?
Well, the first time for me, I was like really nervous. I got the information from Cory, his phone number. Before I made the call, I must have paced like maybe for an hour in the house. What do you say to somebody who just, saved your life? And for me, it was the most important call for me. So, when I called him, I said, should I call you my brother, my angel, or both? So he just told me, Cory will do. So it's amazing experience when you talk to the person who saved your life. So.
And I would say for me, I was obviously being an unrelated, unknown recipient at first. I really had no idea what to expect. So I had no expectations. You've helped somebody, but you don't really realize the impact till you speak to them and hear their voice. And immediately after I was off that call, pretty much his whole family wants to be my friends on social media. So just getting to know David more and what an amazing man he is, and the voice he is for the stem cell registry and the things that he's done for Fanconi anemia with his son, I couldn't have donated to a better human being.
Really, really beautiful words from both of you. Could you both describe, your relationship with each other now?
Yeah, to me, he's like a brother to me, and anything that happened on his Facebook, I know about it. When he has fundraising for his son baseball or anything, I'll send him a message. Look, I'll donate something, or I feel like part of their family, and whatever happened to them, I feel like it happened to me. So, like I told my wife, the first trip we got to do once the COVID settled down, I want to meet Cory and his family in person. So,
and Cory?
Yeah, for me, I would say the same, that he's really become an extended part of my family, and I've always got a place to go if I'm going to be in Bouctouche, New Brunswick. So he really is a part of my family, and what's going on in his family's life and with himself is an integral part of my life too now. So we're like blood brothers that are across the country, and that's how I see it.
Mm-hmm. That's wonderful. And my last question for both of you, what is your message to folks who are listening around the world, your message about stem cell donation?
For us, our family, we were involved with 2 bone marrow. I had a son who had a bone marrow when he was young, and his brother saved him. And now myself, I was sick, and Cory saved me. So to our family, it saved not 1 life, but 2 lives. So it's really, really important that people out there to, be a donor. That's the most important thing you'll do in your life.
And I would say my message for people out there that are on the fence, or, haven't really thought about it, or don't know much about what the registry is, that it just takes a few seconds of your time to swab your mouth and get added to the registry. And the vast majority of people will never, ever get a call, but you're giving someone out there hope that there's someone out there that might be on that registry that's a match for them. And in particular in Canada, we have a very multicultural society, and there's a drastic need for people of different ethnic descents to join the registry because it's much harder for them to find a match. There's not enough people on the registry. So my call outs to all ethnic races, creeds, everyone out there to really think about it and get yourself on that registry and give someone out there hope that a match is out there for them if they need it.
Hoje, se eu pudesse dizer algo para o meu doador, seria: eu não te conheço, mas eu te amo muito e eu sou infinitamente grata pelo seu sim. Em meio ao caos, em meio a uma pandemia, você disse sim para mim.
Estamos hoje muito felizes fazendo esse vídeo em agradecimento a todos os doadores de medula óssea do mundo. Sem vocês, eu não estaria vivo e não poderia curtir os meus 4 filhos, minha esposa linda, minha família.
Emily, gratidão não cabe nas palavras. Serei eternamente grata. Você mora no meu coração.
Poder devolver a vida a uma pessoa é gratificante, um sentimento inexplicável. Saber que estou devolvendo a esperança de uma vida melhor, tanto para ela, quanto para a família e quanto para os amigos.
Dia 18 de setembro é o World Marrow Donor Day e eu completo 3 anos de transplante de medula óssea graças ao meu anjo doador.
Oi, meu nome é José Augusto, eu sou deficiente visual, eu sou doador de medula óssea.
Você me ensinou sobre humildade, sobre empatia, sobre amor ao próximo. Muito obrigado, doadores, por esse ato lindo de amor.
Dar a família dessa pessoa e dar à pessoa mais uma chance de vida, de levar a alegria para a pessoa e a esperança.
Então é muito bom doarem, darem mais possibilidades e oportunidades para quem precisa.
Em 2016, 15 de junho, foi feito o meu transplante. Em 23 de junho, nasceu o meu 4º filho. Ele tem 5 anos e eu também tenho 5.
E sou muito grato a Deus por essa maravilha em minha vida. E com esse doador, faz 2 anos que eu fiz o meu 2º transplante.
Isso não foi apenas uma doação, foi uma transformação, tanto para mim quanto para ela. Seja você também um doador de medula.
Parabéns a todos os doadores de medula óssea.
E eu estou aqui para agradecer a todos os doadores do mundo. Thank you, donor!
Muito obrigado a todos vocês.
Eu posso continuar a minha história. Obrigada. Obrigada, doadores. O seu gesto salva vidas.
Mais uma vez, é hora de agradecer aos doadores voluntários de medula óssea. E no 2º ano da pandemia, ainda com tantos desafios, essas histórias nos inspiram e renovam a nossa esperança e o nosso otimismo. A doação de medula óssea é, antes de tudo, uma doação de vida. Vida que renasce no paciente, seus familiares e amigos, mas também em cada um de nós. Então, aos mais de 38 milhões de doadores voluntários de medula óssea em todo o mundo, o nosso Thank You Donor.
Hello, my name is Patrick Brown, and I currently attend the illustrious Clark Atlanta University, majoring in clinical mental health counseling. And I currently serve as a campus ambassador for the Gift of Life Bone Marrow Registry. The reason why I joined the CAP program is to educate people like me, African Americans, on ending blood cancer. Now, what I've learned as being a part of this program is basically our mission, and our mission is to end blood cancer, and by getting people to donate by swabbing their cheeks and ultimately ending blood cancer. So why is that value to me? Is because I want to see people like myself not go through any situations as blood cancer or anything dealing with cancer or sickle cell or anything like that. I want to see that be eliminated. And the reason why I'm being so passionate about it is because our mission at Gift of Life is to definitely end blood cancer and to definitely find a cure for it and to be the person that we were meant to be inside the registry. Thank you.
I was gonna say, how are you again? I don't know why. Hi everyone, welcome to Swab Chats. My name is Richard and today we have Samuel here with us today. We're going to talk about the LGBTQ community and stem cell donations because it's Pride Month. Why do you think it's so important that the LGBTQ community knows about stem cell donations?
I think it's really important to talk about this issue because even today LGBTQIA+ people still face so much inequalities in our healthcare system. They face discrimination and stigmatization. And you know, even me as a gay man, I'm sometimes reluctant to talk about some issues with my physician or other healthcare workers due to fear of judgment.
And we know that in so many places around the world, and even here, there's so many restrictions for men who have sex with men to give blood, to give plasma, but it's actually different for stem cell donations. So you could talk about that a bit.
Yeah, of course, we can become stem cell donors. We can make a difference. And even me as a medical student, I wasn't even aware of all the inequalities that surround stem cell donation.
Exactly, the racial inequality in stem cell donation is so big, and the LGBTQ community could have a huge role in closing this gap.
As a multi-ethnic and gay man, I decided to register for the stem cell registry to make a difference in my community.
So it's time for everyone watching at home, gay, straight, lesbian, every color of the rainbow, to sign up to become a stem cell donor because it's so important.
Any time of the day when a child is born, we courier drivers transport fresh cord bloods from the hospital and deliver them straight to the blood banks for long-term storage. Hopefully, they will once serve as a life-saving transplant for a cancer patient.
Once a stem cell product is collected, it is very important to ensure that nothing goes wrong. We as stem cell transport agents plan with different fallback options, so in case of irregularities we have a plan B to ensure that the stem cells reach the patient on time and in the right condition. I am a stem cell transport agent and I support saving lives.
When a cancer patient searches for a suitable stem cell donor, we logistics managers make sure that their blood samples arrive in the lab safe and in time. I'm a sample logistic manager and I support saving lives.
We stem cell trainers make sure to share all our experience with each courier so that every transport mission can be a success. I am a stem cell courier trainer and I support saving lives.
Did you ever wonder how freshly donated blood stem cells travel globally to cancer patients in need? We stem cell couriers hand carry each individual transplant to even the remotest places on Earth. Direct, secure and as fast as possible. I'm a stem cell courier and I support saving lives.
Correct of materials like cord blood or cell therapy products cannot
be x-rayed. It must be handled with utmost care. We, special cargo agents, make sure that life-saving products are treated appropriately with air transport procedures. I'm a special cargo handling agent and I support saving lives.
When cell therapy products are bound to fly as air cargo, they go through many hands. It is essential that everyone involved knows what they're dealing with. We are airside monitoring agents, supervise the cargo procedure on the tarmac, and are advocates of our life-saving products transported. I'm an airside monitoring agent and I support saving lives.
During the COVID-19 pandemic, traveling of stem cell couriers was heavily restricted. At certain times, only freighter aircraft were operating and stem cell transplants could not be accompanied by their couriers. We cargo pilots took care of thousands of transplants, bringing them to destinations worldwide so that cancer patients had a chance of surviving. I am a cargo pilot and I support saving lives.
My name is Brady and I'm from Corner Brook, Newfoundland. I joined the Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry back when I was playing junior hockey. I have always believed in putting yourself in another person's position. That's what I did when I found out I was a match for a patient in need and decided to donate my stem cells. The stem cell donation process was quite easy for me, very similar to donating blood. Knowing that the person who received my donation is alive today because of the choices I made is an amazing feeling. If you are between the ages of 17 to 35, you too can be a hero by joining the registry. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Hi, this is Dr. Jonathan Terry, and today is Friday, July 2nd, and I'm recording this video for Gift of Life. I want to tell you about the single greatest thing that I've done in my career as a physician, and that was matching to be a donor for my friend Randy. Randy is amazing. He's a friend of mine, and he and I share the same stem cells, which is incredible. It's even more meaningful for me because about 4 years before I matched, my dad passed from AML. So when I got the call that I was a match, I knew I had to participate, and I'm so glad that I did. But today I'm here to tell you in less than 2.5 minutes about my talent. And so since my bone marrow donation, I've been inspired to pay it forward and help others. And one of the ways that I do that is by designing these educational coloring books. They are each 104 pages. They contain facts. So this one's about opossums, and they contain facts and puns and wonderful things to color. Each of these books, I currently have 5 of them. Each of them actually, we use the proceeds to offset mental health services and education to provide free visits, especially for impaired professionals and for students. In the past 2 years, we've probably provided about $20,000 in free services from these coloring books that we design and sell. It's not a song, it's not a dance, but it is my talent that I am sharing with the world to pay it forward and do some of the great things that Gift of Life has inspired me to do through knowing the impact one person can make. Thank you for listening. I hope you have a beautiful day.
When a mom comes into triage, she has 1,000 things on her mind. Many of the moms have never heard of cord donation or stem cells. They can take what would be medical waste and actually make that into a product that can save a life. It's a privilege, really, to be able to be part of that connectivity between healthy donors and recipients. This product is actually going to not just improve, but transform their life and save their life.
I'm Mary. I'm here with my daughter Ashlyn today. She has decided to donate with Gift of Life. I'm very proud of her. She's done a great job of passing along the information that she has received from the center. They have informed us every step of the way and made sure that we were perfectly comfortable and had no reservations, and she's doing a great job.
En el Día Internacional del Donador de Médula Ósea es muy importante entender que muchas personas en el mundo están esperando recibir un trasplante de médula ósea para poderse curar de una enfermedad que pone en riesgo su vida. Cuando uno está ante una situación de estas y no hay la posibilidad de acceder a un donador, es cuando uno entiende de la importancia de poderse registrar como un donador no relacionado en los diferentes registros nacionales e internacionales. Afortunadamente en México hoy día tenemos varios registros, incluyendo el de Vida Match México, que nos permite poder donar y regalar vida a todas aquellas personas que están en esta necesidad. No esperes a que tú tengas una situación de salud que te haga entender que puedes transformar una vida. Hazlo de manera altruista, inscríbete en los diferentes registros, dona médula ósea, porque al donar médula ósea estás donando vida. No pierdes nada, las propias células que donas se recuperan en unos días y esto te permite no poner en riesgo ninguna de las funciones de tu organismo o de tu persona. Y sí te permite transformar vidas, porque donar médula ósea salva vidas.
I'm Brigette Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult, because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Hello, and welcome to this special presentation about the Arizona Public Cord Blood Program, hosted by Save the Cord Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit and the official education partner of the Arizona Public Cord Blood Program. Today, our Executive Director, Sheris Ober, will be interviewing Kirsten Wilt, a nurse and team leader for the Cord Blood Program at TMC for Women. The purpose of today's interview is to introduce you not only to the program, but also to give you a bit more detail on how the program is run. This highly successful program is a model for other states to follow, and perhaps other authorities in other countries to follow. It has been a tremendous success in cord blood donation, and we hope it will continue and expand in the years to come. Now I'd like to turn the program over to Sheris Ober and Kirsten Wilt.
Hello and welcome. I'm Sheris Ober, Executive Director of Save the Cord Foundation. Today, I'd like to share some important information with you surrounding Save the Cord Foundation and the Arizona Public Cord Blood Program. Save the Cord Foundation is a 501c charity whose mission is to advance cord blood education, awareness, and research throughout our state, nation, and the world. The foundation advocates saving cord blood for both public donation and family banking. Save the Cord Foundation is an education partner with the Arizona Public Cord Blood Program and works with the Arizona Biomedical Research Center and the Arizona Department of Health to educate healthcare professionals, expectant parents, the public, and the next generation of students and youth about the importance of saving umbilical cord blood. So today I have the pleasure of speaking with Kirsten Wilt, who is the nurse cord blood coordinator at Tucson Medical Center. Welcome, Kirsten.
Hi, Shiris. Thank you so much.
It's great to have you here today. And we have lots of questions for you. So I'd like to start by asking you if you can share with us about your background and then share with our audience the history surrounding the Arizona Public Cord Blood Program.
Okay. So my background is I graduated from nursing school in 1993. So I don't know, do the quick math. I've been a nurse for a really long time. And then in 2000, I graduated with a master's of science in nursing, specializing in women's health care as a nurse practitioner. And then about almost 7 years ago, I took on bringing the Arizona Public Cord Blood Program to Tucson Medical Center here in Tucson. And I've been the coordinator of that program ever since then.
Wow, fascinating. Thank you so much for that information. So a little bit of history about the program. How is the program funded? And can you tell us a little bit about some of the other hospitals that are currently part of the program?
Yeah, so the Arizona Public Cord Blood Program was started in 2011 by the Arizona Department of Health Services and a subsidiary of theirs, the Arizona Biomedical Research Center. There are 4 hospitals currently in the state of Arizona that participate. One of them is, the only one in Southern Arizona is my program here at Tucson Medical Center in Tucson, Arizona. And then we have 3 hospitals in Phoenix that are all coordinated by Wendy Barrett. She's our Central Arizona coordinator. And they are Dignity Health St. Joseph's Medical Center. That's where she's housed. And then Valleywise Medical Center, which used to be Maricopa Medical Center. And then our third partner is Dignity Chandler out in the East Valley. And we each have a dedicated consenter. Wendy at St. Joseph's has 2 consenters plus herself. And the other 2 Phoenix hospitals have 1 consenter each. And then down here in Tucson, we have 2 consenters at the hospital. And a consenter is the person who is actually, their entire job is to deal with consenting patients for cord blood donation and to assist with the collections and all the paperwork and then get the blood ready to be prepared for shipping. And they get it, they're in charge of getting it shipped to our cord blood bank. It is funded through the state of Arizona through lottery taxes. So the Arizona Biomedical Research Center gets a certain percentage of those taxes, and a certain percentage of it is used for our program to fund it throughout the state of Arizona. So it's really nice. It doesn't cost the patients anything to donate, and it doesn't cost the hospitals anything either. So it's really a fantastic program that the state has created.
You know, it is. It's a very special and unique program. And maybe you can tell us why it is so unique, and especially for the state of Arizona.
Yeah, one of the things that makes it really unique is that because we have these consenters, that's their sole job. So it takes all the work away from the nurses in the hospital, which, having been a labor and delivery nurse myself for many, many years, you're so busy and you really don't have time to talk to patients at length about donating their cord blood and dealing with all of the paperwork and everything that's involved with it. So that is one of the things that has made this program so successful is that the state is providing these consenters that will do all the work. And the nurses can just sit back and support it and encourage their patients to donate. The other really great thing about it is that it is hard for people in this day and age with mixed racial and ethnic genetic backgrounds. It's difficult for them to find a stem cell match. And so the state of Arizona recognized that a while back and said, you know, we need to create this program so that we have more stem cell donors because these cord blood units are donors. We need to have more donors for our vast population of different races and ethnicities. And remember, Arizona has, or maybe not everyone knows this, Arizona has 22 Indian tribes, Native American Indian tribes. So it's really, we get at Tucson Medical Center, as well as the other hospitals, we get quite a few Native American donors. So that is a great thing for our state.
Wow, that's fascinating to know the intricacies of the program and why it is so special. And I know Arizona is probably one, if not the only state that has as comprehensive a program. And we're going to go into that with more detail a little bit later. But now, Kirsten, if you could explain, you talked a little bit about who the nurse coordinators, but if you could expand a little bit on who helps to coordinate and consent and collect, and then who actually collects the cord blood unit. Okay. And then if we could follow up with a little bit about the donation criteria for the expectant moms.
Absolutely. So our consenters, what they will do is sort of coordinate with the patient's nurses and find out if they qualify. Some of the major things that have to happen, or major qualifications, are they have to be at least 18 years of age. That is a state of Arizona requirement. I believe some other states allow a little bit younger than that, but so for our program, it's 18 years old. Patients have to be 36 weeks along or more, and they have to be only carrying a single baby, no multiple, no twins or triplets or anything. So those are our basic requirements that the patient has to have. There are a few very common things that will preclude them or disqualify them from being able to donate. One being any travel recently within the last 18 months, to be exact, of mom or the father of the baby. No travel in the last 18 months to any Zika endemic countries or areas. So not a lot of people know this. France is considered a Zika endemic country. You wouldn't think of it that way, but it is. We are only an hour's drive from the border. We have tons of patients that go to Nogales just for the day, or people that go to Rocky Point and, you know, for a weekend or a week vacation, and that unfortunately makes them ineligible to donate. So that is sort of a hindrance, can be for us. There's also some other health factors, like any type of bloodborne diseases like HIV or hepatitis. They can't donate with that. Any current sexually transmitted diseases, things like that. So once the consenter has sort of figured out with the nurse that the patient qualifies, then they will pick an appropriate time to go and talk to the patient. They do have to sign a consent form that's just explaining that the cord blood's not saved for you or your family or your baby. It's a donation. I always explain it's a lot like donating blood to the Red Cross. You're not expecting them to save it for you. You're doing it to help other people. And that's what this is as well. And then there are some quite extensive health history questionnaires that we have to go over with the patients that go into actually immediate family members, not just the mother of the baby. So dad and mom and dad's parents, so that would be the baby's grandparents, any siblings of mom and dad, and any siblings of the baby. And then once they've answered all those questions and there's nothing, we don't find out anything that would make them ineligible, then they're all set up to donate, and that's all they have to do. And then once it's time to deliver, our collections are done in utero, meaning that we collect the cord blood from the cord once it's been clamped and cut from the baby, so it's no longer attached to the baby, but the placenta is still inside of the uterus and it hasn't delivered yet. That's when we actually do our collection. And the person doing the collection is either going to be, it's going to be the delivery provider. So here at Tucson Medical Center, it's going to be one of our OBGYNs or one of our midwives. And then one of our consenters or myself or a nurse or tech that I've trained that's available will assist that provider, that delivery provider with the collection, just because they're dealing with a large needle that they're inserting into the umbilical cord, which is slippery and moves around, and then the bag needs to be agitated a little bit while the blood is draining into it because there's anticoagulant in there that we need to mix with the blood so it doesn't coagulate. So it takes like 4 hands to do it. So we always have somebody assist the provider with that collection. And then once the collection is complete, we have to label everything and weigh it, and it gets temperature monitored until it is time to put it in our shipper and send it to our cord blood bank.
Right, right. Do you happen to have a collection bag with you that you could show us?
Actually, I do. I brought one along. Actually, I brought a couple along. I don't have an empty bag, but I do have these bags. They're simulations. They are not real blood, but this is a 200 milliliter collection. And this would be our ultimate goal. If we could get this, almost every single one, we get this size, we'll have enough stem cells in it to work when it is transplanted into a patient for engraft. Anything less than this, maybe between 150 to 200, most likely that would get processed, but generally under 150, it's sort of hit or miss. This one is just so people could see who are actually, if they're ever actually doing collections, this is 100 milliliters. This is our minimum that we're required to collect to actually even send it to our cord blood bank. If we don't collect this minimum, we discard it here on site, just like it would have been if they weren't donating. And the reason that we have to have this minimum is anything less than this just absolutely won't have enough stem cells in it for it to engraft. So this is a minimum, our minimum goal, but this is what we prefer, is exactly this. And this is the actual bag. So it normally has, when we're gonna do a collection, it has the tubing still connected to this with a needle on the end of it. And the needle is just inserted into the umbilical vein. And then our delivery provider is just going to hold it there while we hold the bag low to the ground so that we get some gravity action that's helping pull the blood out of the cord and into the bag.
Fascinating. And I wanted to touch quickly on those units that don't make the volume requirements. Many times are used and given to researchers.
True.
Could you comment on that too?
Yeah,
that we do utilize those.
Here at Tucson Medical Center, unfortunately, we don't currently have a researcher that is receiving any cord blood from us. I know at our Phoenix hospitals, we've had some researchers off and on that will take units that we would normally discard, which is fantastic because the more research we can do, the better. And then also, once it gets to the cord blood bank, if they test it and it doesn't have enough stem cells in it for it to engraft in a patient, then there's oftentimes researchers that will want the blood at that point as well. And a lot of times they're just trying to figure out how, it's very much dependent on the number of cells collected. So a lot of the research they're doing is trying to figure out how to grow those cells once we have them collected. Just that way the minimum volume won't be such an important thing. It'll always be important, but it won't make the units ineligible anymore.
Kirsten, I noticed you have a shipper behind you. Can you explain to our audience a little bit about how cord blood is shipped and what the shipping parameters are?
Yes, so once we collect the cord blood here at the hospital, we have a storage room that has, It's actually, honestly, a cooler, kind of like a beer cooler, that we put the cord blood in, and there's a temperature monitor inside of it. It's just at room temperature, and our room temperature parameters are 15 degrees to 25 degrees Celsius. So pretty much from the moment it's collected, we are monitoring the temperature. And then once we are ready to actually ship it, that's just our storage container. Once we're ready to ship it, we use one of these red shippers we have back here. And it's got styrofoam inside of it. And we put a new temperature monitor inside of that we start. We put all the cord blood units that are being sent and the corresponding paperwork. And then we start that thermometer that's inside of there. And then once it gets to the cord blood bank, they can actually plug that thermometer into a computer, and it gives them all the temperature ranges that the cord blood's been at for the entire time since it's been in there. And occasionally, you know, in the summer months or the winter months, if we have extreme heat or extreme cold, they do get disqualified because they went over their temperature or under the temperature. So it is very important.
Interesting. And is the cord blood actually cooled, or is it at ambient or room temperature?
Just room temperature always. And then once it gets to the cord blood bank, it's only good at room temperature for 48 hours. So ultimately it gets cryopreserved. It takes about 4 hours to process it at the cord blood bank and get it cooled down and cryopreserved and stored in cold storage. So we're required to get it there by about 44 hours or so.
Mm-hmm. So obviously the sooner it gets to the bank, the better, the fresher the cells are, and possibly the better the unit is going to be for potential transplant.
Correct.
Great. Thank you. So we have just endured a year plus of the pandemic, and I wanted to ask you, how has COVID-19 affected the collection of cord blood for your program and other programs across the United States and around the world?
Unfortunately, it has been, it's affected our program quite a bit. We did have to shut down collections for about 4 months, from April through July last year of 2020. You know, and if you think back, nobody knew what this virus was and what was going on. And, you know, each day scientists were learning more and more and more. But part of that shutdown was that we also weren't considered essential personnel in the hospital, and they really didn't want anybody in a patient's room unless they absolutely had to be there. Just, there were multiple factors that all kind of came together and caused that shutdown. We were allowed to start recollecting in August, but we did have some new rules regarding COVID. One of them being that we are required to have a negative COVID test within 7 days prior to the collection of the cord blood. And then we also are not collecting from any patients who have a history of COVID during their pregnancy. So that, you know, we had a couple days around Thanksgiving, Christmas, you know, the holidays, when it was really bad almost every patient that was here in the hospital on any given day either was positive for COVID or had it during their pregnancy. So that was rough. It's definitely getting much better. And also the test, the negative test within 7 days, that was very difficult at the beginning because the tests, if you remember, were so few and far between and very difficult to get. And even here at the hospital, they were difficult to get. And they really only wanted to use them for patients who were sick. And we were trying to decide if they had, trying to determine and diagnose whether or not they had COVID. So to use them just for a screening test was difficult. It was difficult to get that done, but it's definitely on the up. We're doing better.
Right. And I just kind of wanted to inject during the pandemic when individuals weren't able to cross an ocean to receive a bone marrow transplant, either the donor or the recipient, that cord blood transplant shot up exponentially because cord blood that was already on the registry was considered pre-COVID units that were cryogenically preserved and ready to go off the shelf. And so cord blood really became extremely popular, although, you know, we still respect bone marrow. This was a better alternative and a safer alternative with the numbers going up quite a bit. So I just wanted to throw that in as a little bit of added interest.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you did. I'm glad you mentioned that, Sheris, because, you know, I kind of jumped at how COVID hurt us. But you make a great point about how much COVID actually kind of helped the cord blood industry. At least, you know, some doctors prefer to use bone marrow over cord blood just because that's what they were trained with, or what have you. And so, you know, some of them were probably forced to use cord blood because it was their only option. And that's a really good thing because patients still got the treatment that they needed. And then transplant physicians, hopefully, you know, that aren't super familiar with cord blood were sort of forced to become familiar with it. And hopefully they found it just as useful as bone marrow.
Exactly, exactly. So can you share with us the number of transplants and cord blood units that have been collected through the Arizona Public Cord Blood Program?
Yes, so we have collected between our entire statewide program since 2011, 7,800 approximately cord blood units. And then we have had, as a collective program, 75 matches. So 75 cord blood units collected in Arizona through the Arizona Public Cord Blood Program have gone around the United States as well as other countries around the world to treat patients who probably didn't have any other option. This was probably their last option. So it's really, we are all very proud of all of that.
Wow, that's incredible. To think that there's 75 individuals out there that were at end stage that couldn't get a match with bone marrow, and they had that option. And, you know, it could be any one of us. It could be us, our family, our neighbor, anyone. And it's so incredible that it's such a life-saving program for so many individuals. So incredible, good work there. I want to talk a little bit about the over 80 different life-threatening diseases that cord blood can be used to treat. Can you comment on that for us, please?
Absolutely. For those that don't know, I've kind of touched on it off and on throughout this interview, but what I usually tell my patients that I'm educating them and seeing if they're interested in participating, that, you know, most people haven't heard of a cord blood transplant, but most people have heard of a bone marrow transplant.
Right.
Or someone who's looking for a bone marrow donor, whether or not they understand what that is. So I usually try to explain to them, it's very similar, you know, it's pretty much the same thing. It's just we use a cord blood unit instead of bone marrow. But so it's used a lot of the same way that bone marrow is. So if, you know, right away we think of blood cancers like leukemia and lymphoma. Those are probably the most common diseases that we treat with cord blood. We also can treat sickle cell disease, which is another one people are fairly familiar with. And then there are quite a few metabolic diseases and immune system diseases that people are definitely not as familiar with, but they can be life-threatening, absolutely, for these patients if they can't get a transplant. So it's really nice that they have this option.
Right, right. Can you also share with us how cord blood is being investigated for regenerative medicine? That's the big buzzword now in the stem cell world, and some of the purposes and some of the different treatment options that are being investigated for many, many different situations that personally I never thought we would ever be able to have any impact on. If you could comment on the regenerative medicine aspect of autologous cord blood.
Absolutely. The first couple that come to my mind are all the research that Joanne Kurtzberg is doing at Duke University. She's done so much research with treating kids with cerebral palsy, also with autism using cord blood. Dr. Wise Young is using cord blood to treat patients who are paralyzed, which is just incredible. I have a family friend who's been paralyzed almost his entire life, and it's just amazing to think that maybe someday you know, that could be treated, improved, cured with Dr. Wise's research that he's doing. And then there's lots of research going on around the world. They're doing research on how to treat and cure type 1 diabetes. They're doing research on stroke. You name it. Somebody is looking into it. Hearing, I think you know more about the hearing one than I do, but there's just a lot out there.
Right. And right now, most of the emphasis is on family banked or autologous, so using the child's own cord blood. But with Dr. Wise-Young, he's actually using cord blood that's donated, that doesn't have to be HLA matched. And that's where a program like the Arizona Public Cord Blood Program someday could contribute with thousands of units of cord blood that could be, you know, utilized for individuals with spinal cord injury. So, I mean, that's super exciting to me that, you know, we could not just help those that have family bank, but that those that possibly couldn't afford family banking, but could have an option and be treated for spinal cord injury. So it's an amazing thing to think about. Kirsten, thank you so much for all of your information and facts that you shared with us today. And before we finish the interview, I'd like to let our audience know that the Arizona Public Cord Blood Program is part of a science roadmap for the state of Arizona. Arizona has become a science learning lab where in real time, we can incubate and develop key concepts for expanding and promoting the preservation and research of cord blood. It's actually a multi-center science-based business platform that's been created for our state that addresses 5 different areas. The first is cord blood donation. The second is cord blood education. The third is stem cell research. The fourth is important legislation. And the fifth is actually attracting other pharma, bio, and cellular businesses and industries that create a synergistic business halo for our state. Again, before I leave, I'd like to acknowledge that Dr. Victor Waddell is the Executive Director for the Arizona Public Cord Blood Program, and Jennifer Botsford is the Arizona Public Cord Blood Program Director. Following our program today, you'll see links on the screen where you can visit and find out more information about Save the Cord Foundation and also the Arizona Public Cord Blood Program. Kirsten, thank you so much for joining us today. And we want to thank you for taking your time out of your busy schedule and sharing so much important information and facts with our audience. So thank you so much for joining us. And I want to say thank you to our audience, and I hope everyone has a great day.
Thank you, Sheris. I am always happy to talk with you and to talk to anyone who will listen about cord blood. So I really appreciate you having me on today.
Great. You're welcome. Thank you.
If you would like to learn more about the Arizona Public Cord Blood Program, please visit www.arizonapubliccordbloodprogram.org or visit us at Save the Cord Foundation, www.savethecordfoundation.org, and look for the links to the Arizona Public Cord Blood Program. Again, thank you for listening today, and we do hope that you will share what you've learned with others, because every conversation could potentially save a life.